मुन्नी जी, कैन यू कम हियर? दर्शन जी आ गए क्या? आइए। यस। ओके। सो यू कैन सिट देयर।
एक बंद कर देते हैं।
चाय से 2 लोगों के अलावा सवाल है? आप दोनों इधर आ जाइए। इट इज ओके ठीक है, तो आप दोनों वहीं रहिए, राउंड टेबल है।
दोस्तों, मीटिंग शुरू करते हैं। शुरू के संचालन के अतिरिक्त बाकी बातचीत अंग्रेजी में होगी, तो इससे हिंदी से भयभीत ना हुआ जाए। देवदत्त जी आगे आ जाए, आगे अच्छा रहेगा। अभी इधर आ जाए। अदिति जी आप भी आगे। पहले मीटिंग शैलजा जी ने, जो आज के सत्र की अध्यक्षता करने वाली हैं, उन्होंने कहा कि मीटिंग का उद्देश्य क्या है और वक्ताओं की ब्रीफिंग के अलावा मीटिंग के उद्देश्य के बारे में ब्रीफिंग करिए। तो उसके बारे में उनको मैंने कोई जवाब नहीं दिया, लेकिन एक जुड़ी हुई बात है। सर्वोदय में एक मीटिंग होती है जिस ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग का उनका पर्यायवाची सिनोनिमस है नाहक मीटिंग, जिसका मतलब होता है कि वो नॉन एजेंडा है पर असल में उसका डीपर एजेंडा होता है। और वो ये होता है कि जो ऑनगोइंग कंसर्न्स और शेयर्ड कमिटमेंट्स हैं, जो पर्सपेक्टिव है, उसके बारे में हर व्यक्ति अपने अपने एंकर से, अपनी अपनी रूट से, अपने अपने पर्सपेक्टिव से अपनी बात कहता है। तो ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग अपना जो पैनल है उसमें फोकस ना होना ही उसकी स्ट्रेंथ है, क्योंकि ये मीटिंग नाम जरूर है सेडेड का, लेकिन ये मीटिंग ऑलमोस्ट सेल्फ ऑर्गेनाइज है। और उसका प्रमाण ये है कि अधिकांश जो वक्ता हैं उनमें से शायद ही मेरी किसी से बात हुई है पहली बात जो है किसी दूसरे ने की है या वक्ताओं ने भी खुद से तय कर लिया कि हम लोग इसी दिन आ सकते हैं, हम आ रहे हैं और आप मित्र लोग मिलेंगे कि नहीं। तो ये इसके पीछे जो दीर्घकालिक हमारे मन में सवाल है वो शेयर करके और मैं शैलजा जी को इसका संचालन सौंप दूंगा। और विषयों पे आने से पहले हम एक संक्षिप्त अपना इंट्रोडक्शन सब दे देंगे। इसका जो दीर्घकामी हमारे मन में है कि जो भी अलग अलग सेक्टर्स में काम हम करते हैं, जैसे पानी पे बहुत इन दिनों चर्चा में आया, देश में डार्क जोन चिन्हित हैं, लेकिन हमारी अपनी जो ज्ञान परंपराएं हैं पानी के संचयन की, उसको पिछड़ा मान लिया गया था और उनको हमने खत्म कर दिया। उसी तरह से स्वास्थ्य के बारे में मॉडर्न मेडिसिन का ट्रेन डॉक्टर जो है, जैसे पूरा पब्लिक हेल्थ की पॉलिसी जो है उसमें आयुर्वेद नहीं, पूरी जो 9-10 पद्धतियां आयुष प्लस सब तिब्बतन भी उसमें शामिल है, उनके बारे में ये है कि ये चूंकि है लोग इस्तेमाल करते हैं तो इनका भी पब्लिक पॉलिसी में पब्लिक एक्सचेकर से इस्तेमाल हो जाए, इस तरह का हमारा रवैया है। और ये केवल चिंतन के स्तर पे नहीं, व्यवहार के स्तर पे है। चीन में क्रांति हुई तो आधा बजट चीन की जो स्वास्थ्य ज्ञान परंपराएं थी उसके लिए था और आधा पश्चिम की ज्ञान परंपराओं के लिए था। और हमारे यहाँ आज भी आप लोगों से ही सुना है कि 3-4% से ज्यादा ये बाकी सब 10 पद्धतियों के लिए नहीं है। तो उसको अंधविश्वास न मानना अपने आप में बड़ी मेहरबानी जैसा दिखता है। और वो है, उसका रिन्यूअल कैसे होना है, उसकी वैधता के समाज में क्या तरीके हैं, उसको इलेजिटिमेट बनाने के क्या क्या तरीके हैं, उसको सेकेंडरी और एक स्टेप ट्रीटमेंट देने के क्या तरीके हैं, इन सब चीजों पे ना तो नीति निर्धारकों के बीच में, ना राजनेताओं के बीच में, और ना ही आज जो नया जेनर ऑफ हमारी पॉलिटिका है एनजीओस के बीच में जो कुल समझ होनी चाहिए, वो इस समझ से जो एक वास्तविकता है उससे वो बहुत दूर है। अभी प्लान का डॉक्यूमेंट आ गया है, एनडीसी ने अभी अप्रूव नहीं किया है। तो आज ईद का मौका है, इसलिए हमारे मीडिया के लोग और हमारे नीति निर्धारक लोग सब अपने अपने कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज में गए हुए हैं। तो उनमें से न होते हुए भी जो तमाम इस क्षेत्रों पे आप काम करने वाले लोग हैं, और उसमें जैसे नरेंद्र जी को पता लगा, भरत झुंझुनवाला जी को पता लगा, दुगल जी को पता लगा, सब लोग आप यहाँ हैं। तो इस बैठक में इन सवालों पे जो टॉपिक है कि आयुष के और लोकल हेल्थ ट्रेडिशन की क्या भूमिका है एक बेहतर स्वस्थ भारत में, इस टॉपिक में जो आपकी अपनी समझ है उसको तो आप रखें ही, लेकिन अगर 15 मिनट के अपने प्रेजेंटेशन में इसका फॉलोअप क्या हो सकता है, एक नीति निर्धारण की दिशा बदल जाए, उसके लिए फॉलोअप की अगर हम थोड़ी बात कर सकेंगे तो वो अच्छा होगा। मैं चूंकि इसमें जो सजग और प्रतिभाशाली अखबार का पाठक होता है उससे भी कम जानता हूँ। मैं दरी बिछाने का काम संगठनों में ज्यादा करता हूँ, इसलिए मैं अब और अपना को आप पर इन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं करूँगा और शैलजा जी से आग्रह करूँगा कि वह अध्यक्षता ठीक है, मैं अपने से ही कर देता हूँ। नहीं, स्पीकर नहीं, सभी का कर दें या समय लग जाएगा? ठीक है, तो स्पीकर्स
मैं तो तीनों को जानती हूँ, पर उन्हीं का पूरा
स्पीकर्स खुद ही अपना परिचय दे दें। नहीं देंगे, हाँ, उन्हीं की आप ही से शुरू किया। We have to give. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Lodhi Krishnan. I work with the United Nations University Institute of Advanced Studies in Yokohama in Japan. For past several years I have worked with the Foundation for Revitalization of Local Health Traditions in Bangalore, and mainly working with the local health tradition aspects. Thank you.
Hariram, your introduction, all three of you.
नमस्कार, हरिराम मूर्ति है मेरा नाम। दक्षिण में FRLST बोल के एक संस्था में काम करता हूँ पिछले 15 साल से। और जैसे विजय जी बोल रहे हैं कि ये जो कार्यक्रम अभी आयोजित किया है, इसके डिस्कशन के बाद नेक्स्ट स्टेप्स के बारे में भी सोचने का कोशिश किया तो करेंगे तो बहुत अच्छा होगा। विजय को मैं अपना सुझाव देकर इसको खत्म करता हूँ।
Namaskar, I'm Madhulika Banerjee. I teach political science at the University of Delhi. I have worked, my area of research interest has been the contemporary character of Ayurveda, and I have studied how Ayurveda is transformed in both, not so much the colonial but the post-colonial period, through state policy, through scientific research and through the market. And I have written to some extent about it, and I feel deeply engaged and keenly interested in this. So it's not simply a research interest, it's something that I feel very strongly about, and I'm happy to be part of an occasion when we are thinking about a future and how it is to be conceived in the larger context of a healthier India, which I think is particularly significant.
Ritupriya. I have a medical graduation and then have done public health and teach that at the Center of Social Medicine and Community Health at Jawaharlal Nehru University. I've also been involved with the People's Health Movement, Medico Friends Circle, and with SEDET and other such.
Lok Swasthya Parampara Samardhan.
Lok Swasthya Parampara was the first place which exposed me and educated me on the issues of the traditional health systems and their value. So that's something that I've learned from Darshan Shankarji and the others who were part of the Lok Swasthya Parampara Samardhan. Narendra Rotra is here as well.
अध्यक्ष जी भी अपना परिचय
मैं
आप
दे दूंगी, मैं हूँ शैलजा चंद्रा. Let me say that I am a civil servant, a bureaucrat, retired, but still keeping my interest in this traditional medicine sector, basically Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, folk medicine. And I have had the opportunity, thanks to the ministry, of writing a status report on Indian medicine, which was published last August. And the recommendations have been given to you, which I'm grateful. The part 2 of this report is now under preparation, and the focus of that report is basically on the need for integration and what stops it, and what are the main policy initiatives needed to change what is happening today.
My name is Darshan Shankar. I live in Bangalore and I'm currently working for the Foundation for Revitalization of Local Health Traditions. I've been working for the last 30 years in this particular field, and I have a formal background in statistics, and so I have really nothing much to formally do with medicine or botany or traditional knowledge. But 30 years ago I just felt extremely humiliated as an Indian when I got exposed to the strength of India's medical heritage, and ever since that humiliation inspired me to try and do something about it, and I have been trying to do something about it over the last 30 years.
35 years.
Friends, I will not trouble you with too many long introductory remarks, because you are here to listen to the speakers who are very, very knowledgeable and have been very humble about their own background, they have achieved much more than they said. And this is an excellent gathering, and I think that the whole purpose of getting together would be served if all of us put our heads together, not to just deprecate that the government is not spending enough on Ayurveda and local health traditions, and that there should be equality of status with allopathy. These are time-honored requests, demands, and within the priorities of the government, it is not going to happen, because it doesn't come by just activism. It comes through being able to show the relevance and the demand from the public. Once there is the relevance is established in the public mind, and the public starts demanding something, then members of parliament start moving for it. The health minister is told to, sort of requested that you can't let things go as they are. The lobby at a, you might say, political level also gets formed, and there is a realization that money has to be assigned. So all that I'm trying to say is, I have been in this sector for, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and I have seen its developments. And I do find that although in absolute terms a lot of money has been increased and a number of new programs and schemes have come, and there are a lot of efforts for amalgamation under NRHM, something that was unheard of, absolutely unheard of 10 years ago. These are very good signs. But on the other hand, I do feel that unless we are able to show this is what people want and this is what people are seeking, and one has a voice for those people, not purely as rhetoric, but more in terms of being able to show that these systems have been able to provide relief which allopathy on its own cannot provide, and that a new generation and a new set of older people who are going to suffer or are already suffering from debilitating chronic diseases, they are very, very educated and still looking for these systems, and they are not at all dismissive of the strengths. And therefore, how do we bring this into the center stage and make it incumbent on governments, not as a means of just actively saying give more money? It won't happen. I've traveled many state governments now. My report is based upon interactions with the private sector and the public sector and the secretaries of health and Ayush in the state governments. When I conclude, I'll give you my views on what I think ails the thinking at a policy level. But at this moment, I think that it'll be nice to hear the people who have actually studied at great length, who have actually undertaken surveys, who have dealt with people at the grassroots level, who know much more than policymakers know, and try and understand, as Vijayji just told us, not necessarily in a structured way, but in an own segments. If we come to some sort of understanding through the minds and these talks of these eminent speakers, we would be enlightened, and at the end I would give you some reason for hope, some reason for despair, but that will be, let's see, after the speakers have spoken. So I welcome you to this role of Ayush and local health traditions get-together workshop today. And it's under the aegis of the South Asian Dialogues in Ecological Diversity. Yeah. So this is a wonderful opportunity. I congratulate Vijayji and others who organized this, that they have got such a good gathering. Although it is a public holiday, it speaks about the interest of the public in this area. So I've been given an order to go by, and I would request Mr. Darshan Shankar to please address.
So first of all, I would like to draw your notice to the fact that health-seeking behavior studies that have been carried out, unfortunately these studies in India haven't been systematically done, but there have been studies conducted in Western nations, in the United States, in Europe, in Australia, and so on and so forth. But even whatever little we know of trends in our own country, so health-seeking behavior studies are now indicating that a very large proportion of the population worldwide does resort to healthcare from not one single system of medicine. This is what these studies are showing, that for some requirement or the other, the public is seeking help from different systems of healthcare. This is the reality on the ground. In India, we have not got solid data, but recently we made a film, a short film, to actually record the fact that you are seeing people seeking health care from different systems of medicine, including from the so-called folk stream. And we are asking people, why are you come here? And everyone's answer is that, they feel that they haven't got a solution from somewhere else, and therefore they have come to that particular stream. So that's the first point I'm making, that health-seeking behavior studies are indicating that singular system of medicine, which has been the pattern of healthcare largely adopted till about a decade ago, and even for all practical purposes at policy level even today, reflected in the fact that 97% of the national health budget is going into one single stream, and only 3% is going across all the other streams. So, despite the fact that we are not, as government, we are not as institutions investing enough in pluralism, the reality on the ground is that people are practicing pluralistic behavior. So this is the first point that I want to put across to you. Now I think the time has come for us also to understand the nature of India's medical heritage. If you look at Ayurveda, then currently we seem to have a stereotyped image of what is Ayurveda. To my understanding, looking at ground reality and looking at also historical reality, to my mind, Ayurveda is a generic term. Ayurveda simply means the Veda of Ayu, the knowledge of life. And the stereotype we have is that Ayurveda is that knowledge which is carried by physicians, scholars, and in today's context by those who have been through a 5.5-year course for graduation in either in Ayurveda, BAMS and or masters or whatever. But I believe, looking at the ground reality, that Ayurveda actually has two faces. It is a generic term. The knowledge of life is carried by, in society, by two streams. One, of course, are those who are scholars and physicians, and they understand Ayurveda through a codified stream. We have 100,000 medical manuscripts that are estimated to be lying around in different libraries in India. Unfortunately, even to this date, we haven't done a systematic work of cataloging these manuscripts, and there's much more work to be done after cataloging them, digitizing them, translating them, and so on and so forth. But there's a huge amount of codified literature in this one face of Ayurveda, in this one stream of Ayurveda, which is the codified stream. But there is another stream, which I call the Prakrit stream, where the knowledge of life is carried by ordinary people. These are farmers, these are tribals, these are households, millions and millions of households. And if you look at Ayurvedic literature, in the earliest texts of Ayurveda, and I am citing Charak Samhita 1500 BC, Charak says to his students, if you want to know the name of a plant, or if you want to know the use of a plant, go and talk to the tribal, the Vanvasi, go and talk to the shepherds, go and talk to these people, and from them you can learn about the name and use of the plant, and that is the starting point, really, about the much more sophisticated knowledge of pharmacology, what is called Dravya Gun Shastra, that has been built up in the codified tradition. So in other words, what I am saying is we need to look at Ayurveda in terms of its two streams. The folk stream, the stream of Ayurveda that is carried by ordinary people, millions of households, and estimated to be around 1 million healers of a specialized nature, midwives, bone setters, people who treat snake bites, people who treat specific ailments like hepatitis and so on and so forth. So this is the other stream. This is an oral stream. The nature of knowledge of Ayurveda in this stream is empirical. The nature of knowledge in the codified stream is very sophisticated. The sophisticated stream has got, systemic theories. Okay, let me come to a third point. People are saying, where is the evidence regarding the efficacy of both these streams? I mean, the folk stream holds the promise because, you're talking of about 6,500 plants that are used in this folk stream. The folk stream is ecosystem specific, it is ethnic, community specific, so it's very diverse. The codified stream has much smaller knowledge of number of plants. There are only around 2,500 species of plants that are documented in Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, Swarikpa, all put together. There's only around 2,500 species that are documented. Of course, they are documented in a sophisticated way. In the folk stream, as I said, you have only empirical knowledge of use. You have knowledge of names of plants. So for 6,500 species of plants that are known in the folk stream, you have something of the order of 1,80,000 vernacular names. So that is just telling you in 30 languages, that is telling you, how much of intimacy communities have about these plants, that they have names for them, corresponding to only 6,500 species. You have 1.8 lakhs, and that's incomplete figure. We haven't really documented all the names that people have for plants. So now people are asking, where is the evidence for both the folk stream and the codified stream? And my question to you, to the seeker of this question, is why do we require, let us think, why do we require evidence? And of course you require evidence because you want to know whether something works. So that is the reason why you require evidence. And there are today, of course, many sophisticated methods of generating evidence, without bias. There are randomized controlled trials and all sorts of, combinations of schemes to generate evidence. But in a situation where people have been actually using plants, they're already using plants. We're not talking about something new. We're talking of plants that are already being used. They are being used in the folk stream for primary health care purposes, for midwifery, bone setting, Vishavedyas, and so on and so forth. 6,500 species. And we are talking about plants that are been codified for their not only use but also for their properties in a very, very sophisticated way in the literature of Ayurveda, and on the basis of which there are around 600,000, 6 lakh licensed practitioners who are actually practicing. So when you have a knowledge that is already working, that is already put to use, is already being put to use, then you have to really re-examine this question of evidence. That, why are you asking for evidence when something is already in use? We have to find ways in which we do observational studies. We have to find new ways. You don't need randomized controlled trials now to generate evidence. Randomized controlled trials and things like that are needed when you don't know anything at all. And you want to establish prima facie, the fact that something works. But when you have a long-standing tradition like this, which is actually working, then you have to find new ways of convincing yourself that these particular practices and traditions work. Now, invariably, whenever we have seen, I'm giving you certain kinds of data. The first thing I want to tell you is that of the at least 1600 species that are documented in a very sophisticated way in the literature of Ayurveda, you have a complete overlap of these 1600 species with over 6,000 species that are known to the communities. Communities know of many more plants than what are actually documented. But when you compare the uses of those 1600 species in the folk tradition with the knowledge that is there in the books of Dravya Gun Shastra of Ayurveda, you find that at least in terms of the particular uses to which the communities put them to, they get validated in the textbooks of Ayurveda. So you already have one kind of validation available in the texts of Ayurveda. Now, I am not going to go into any detail about the nature of Ayurvedic pharmacology, what I have referred to as Dravya Gun Shastra. I only want to tell you that it's an extremely sophisticated kind of knowledge. The parameters are very, very sophisticated. And if someone wants to do, which people are beginning to do, if someone wants to do an exercise of translating some of these parameters into the parameters of science, then there are Nobel Prizes waiting to be won. That's the nature of the knowledge that is there in this codified tradition. So, firstly, that entire folk stream, at least in respect of the overlap, has already been validated in the texts of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Swarikpa. Secondly, when fresh attempts have been made, and I'm only going to here give you examples. So there is a plant called Bhui Amlaki plant in South India, which we call Kida Nelli. In botany, they call it Phyllanthus amarus. So there is this plant that is used by folk communities for treating hepatitis, infective hepatitis. Some 15 years ago, a Nobel Prize winner, an American Nobel Prize winner, came in fact to Bangalore, and one of my friends and colleagues, senior colleagues, Professor Madhav Gadgil, took him around rural South India. He had got the Nobel Prize for discovering the virus that causes hepatitis B and C. So he said, I want to know what do communities do for treating hepatitis. So when he went around South India, he found across South India that there were communities using several species, but the one common species across communities happened to be this Phyllanthus amarus. At that time, botanists called it Phyllanthus neruri. This is nomenclature stuff. So he took samples of that plant. This is about 20 years ago. At those days, Biodiversity Act and all these kinds of regulations were not there. And so he took that and he tested it out and he wrote and published papers and subsequently patented the application of that plant. He said natives of southern India, he acknowledged, were using this plant for infective hepatitis. I have, however, found that it is also effective in inhibiting viral B and C. And this is a novel finding, and therefore he claimed a patent claim and got it. So I'm just giving you that as an example of showing you that this folk tradition, which has been going on for centuries, has been practiced for centuries, has been validated already by Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Swarikpa in their literature. When a scientist had a look at it, he found not only was that valid in its own right, but had additional sort of... Now I can give you several other examples. Of course, these will be limited examples, in the sense that no one has bothered to revalidate the 6,000 species that have been used by the rural communities. I'll come on to a third point. Today we are seeing that in the modern Western medicine-based healthcare, we are seeing that the coverage of our population by this healthcare system, despite NRHM, despite all the massive investments that we are making into it, is only of the order of around 30%. Around 30% of our population is covered by this. It seems highly unlikely that we are going to increase this coverage a great deal. So you are having a situation where the state system is not able to meet primary healthcare needs of our people. You are having a system where mainstream Ayurveda is now becoming affordable only to the upper middle classes and the rich. It's no longer available to the poor, the mainstream. The moment we've got into manufacturing industry, this, that, the other, it's become very, very expensive. It seems to me that in the 21st century, the only solution for health security for our people is going to be, for majority of people, is going to be through a strategy called, which I am calling green health, which means develop local pharmacopoeias of ecosystem specific plants, use creative means for revalidation. No need to go in for single blind, double blind, randomized controlled trials. Let's use creative means for revalidation and rapid revalidation and restore the community's confidence in the use of local resources and their local knowledge. In some cases, the knowledge may be very sound as it is. In some cases, it may be incomplete. In some cases, it might also be distorted. So we'll have to look at that. And that is the promise that local health traditions or Ayurveda in this two-faced streams, in these two-faceted streams holds. In my view, the future of healthcare in India should be emergency and acute conditions managed by allopathy, surgery managed by allopathy, chronic conditions managed by other systems like Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, Swaritma, etc. And common conditions managed also by these systems. Preventive health care and wellness in a substantial sense, not in the sense of spas, also handled by this knowledge system. That is the future of healthcare in the 21st century. And that is the direction we should be heading for. Thank you.
Thank you, Darshanji. I won't even attempt to summarize what you have said right now. But I think that he's given a roadmap as to how, for the first time, he has been upfront. You may agree, you may disagree, but he has been upfront in describing the divisions between what different practitioners of different streams can do, and also bringing out that medical pluralism is there, it has come to stay, it is something that the public demands and is using. But we are not recognizing it in the way that it is going on, both allopathy versus the rest, and between Ayurveda and the local health traditions, that both are going on side by side. Thank you, Darshan. I would now call upon Priya ji to please make her presentation.
Thanks. I will really take off from Shaila ji earlier talking about the fact of us discussing policy not only in terms of 3% and 97%, but at the substantive content. I think Darshan ji has already given us one base for that. What I will be doing is really giving a health systems perspective, because that's the view with which I come into this area, on the role of Ayush and local health traditions. The current buzzword for health planning is universal access to healthcare. We had primary healthcare earlier that also had a similar approach, but this is the current slogan with which health planning is being done. So what I'm talking about is role of Ayush and LHD for universal access to healthcare, a health systems perspective. And the issues move exactly from what they were saying. What I'm looking at is really that planning for health has not, from the independence period onwards, where Bhore Committee started us off, not looked critically at medical technologies at all. And it's understandable at that point of time where we were, at a point where antibiotics had just been discovered, all the anti-malaria activities had just started and so on. So there was a great euphoria and excitement about new medical technologies, and therefore no questioning at that point of time. But today we cannot continue that at all, with the, the negative consequences that we've seen of all of them. So that is an issue which takes on. And yet we find that even today, the planning is not looking at technological content at all. So I'll take that on as one of the issues. Two, that Ayush and LHT by the planners is not being looked at for as a technology or as a knowledge system at all. It's entirely for providing doctors where MBBS doctors are not ready to go. And that was something which came across, so I'll, and then the consequences of what that has meant to the way even the planning and the programs that have been taken up, the NRHM that was referred to, which did take it on fairly seriously in 2005-06 and what came out of that. And why the nature of planning that one is seeing, and then the consequences of the present environment and therefore the way forward for people who are taking on this as a serious issue. So in terms of the planning process, what one sees at the time of independence, when we start our health system planning, is clearly saying that modern medicine is what we are developing. That's clearly the superior science and knowledge. And even the other committees, such as the Chopra Committee and UDPA after that, when they talk of integration, it's still that, it is the forms of validation of modern science, it is the integration within the framework of modern medicine that the integration is to happen. And the supremacy therefore is clearly stated at that point of time. Subsequently, we've had several committees and 5-year plans which have all reiterated the importance of the systems, of the indigenous systems, and their need for their improved practice, making them available to the masses and so on. And with all of that, there has been a large infrastructure generated within the public system of dispensaries, hospitals, research councils, national institutes of each of these systems and so on. And yet, what we just said, all of that only with 3% of the entire budget. And therefore, we have an official pluralism, which many countries do not have across the world. And that's extremely important. And extremely important that we have 8 officially recognized. No other country in the world has that. And therefore, that's a unique opportunity that we have and that strength that we have. Yet, it's been a very undemocratic pluralism. And that's really something that we need to keep in mind when we see the way the planning, Chairjai said that as well, that policymakers are not going to move from that kind of a position is what she finds even through her research now. And this is when just to highlight the fact that you have as many dispensaries of Ayush as you have PHCs in the country. And yet we don't even recognize that. And for the health systems, unfortunately, public health people are completely blind to this part of even the public system. Forget about the systems as an overall. But that it exists at all is something which I find in my public health colleagues just don't know about this. And therefore this blindness. If you go into a district and talk to the CMO about, is there an office of there must be a Ayush director somewhere, they don't know. They don't even know the existence of such. So that's been the kind of development that has happened within public systems and beyond. We are producing almost as many Ayush graduates as we are of modern medicine and so on. So with this very large resource base that the public system has created, that the government has created, we still do not seem to be seeing any echoes of that within the planning processes and the importance being given to it. In the more recent times and the present, we have the National Policy for ISMNH in 2002, which was the first policy document that came out and attempted to place this on a sounder footing. And we had, that took on both Ayush and the local health traditions. That's the codified and the folk that Darshanji spoke of. And, but almost nothing in action on the local health traditions. It's almost as if the bureaucracy doesn't know how to address an issue like folk medicine at all. It doesn't know how to take it on into the formal system. But we do have the National Medicinal Plant Board being created. And obviously the purpose of that is developing the commercial dimension of the local health traditions and herbal medicine, because it provides that kind of a demand is globally generated by now for that. The NRHM in 2005-06 did take on mainstreaming of Ayush and revitalization of local health traditions as an important strategy. And out of that, there has been an important intake of Ayush doctors into the mainstream system, with they being placed in the predominantly allopathic PHCs, community health centers and district hospitals, to the extent of 35%, 52%, almost 76% of district hospitals have an Ayush doctor and infrastructure and equipment there. But nothing has been done for the local health traditions, again, within this, even though there is strategy and concrete dimensions of that stated. Now, in more recent years, the last 2-3 years, in fact, there's been a high-level expert group on universal health access set up in the Planning Commission. It identifies, its report, has a brief mention of Ayush. It does talk of it being as an important area, but there's very little substantively in it, and again, no mention at all of local health traditions. The steering group for health on the 12th plan, which is currently being written, identifies Ayush, and there were 2 steering groups, one for Ayush and one separately for health. And I believe this time Darshanji will can inform us better on that. There were joint meetings as well. So that is a great move forward, as one can see. But yet what one sees in the chapter that finally comes as the draft chapter is the steering group report actually had a very good statement of saying it's a cross-cutting theme, and that Ayush must inform all dimensions of healthcare, which makes perfect sense. But when you see it in the draft chapter, it is there in many of the sections, the mention of Ayush and Ayush, but it's 2 separate, completely separate sections. They just don't seem to meet at all, and therefore what integration is seen as really remains very unclear. And steering committee group again did not have LHD in it, but the draft chapter probably has taken it from the steering group on Ayush and LHD, and does have the notion, for example, of the Ayurgram. Each block will have one village being developed as an Ayurgram, which will have herbal gardens and promotion of production of herbal medicines and so on. So that's where we are in the planning process as of now. The way the National Rural Health Mission took it up very clearly was as substitute for the doctors who were not ready to be there in place where they were meant to be posted. But in several states, there is a fairly large percentage of doctors practicing their own systems while they're placed whether in co-located institutions or in standalone Ayush institutions. And this was heartening, and once